Hey, I'm Mr. Ed, and welcome to the second part of our 5-part explainer on Oracle 26 AI. You know, if you've worked in IT for more than, a minute, you've been a soldier in what I call the war. It's a conflict that has shaped a whole generation of technology. But today, we're not just talking about a new feature. No, we're talking about a huge philosophical shift, a change that finally ends it. All right, let's get into it.
So this whole war really kicked off around 2010, and you had two very different armies. On one side, the application developers. They've got to move fast, right? They love the flexibility of JSON. Their whole philosophy is basically just save it. It's kind of like throwing data into a laundry hamper. But on the other side, you've got us, the DBAs, and we live for order, for integrity. We want that beautiful, perfect structure of third normal form because we have to know that the data is clean and that it's reliable.
And believe me, this was not just some friendly debate over coffee. For the better part of 15 years, this fundamental disagreement has caused so much friction. Developers felt totally boxed in by rigid schemas, while we DBAs were just horrified by the messy, unstructured data. It was this constant tension that slowed down projects and, honestly, just made everyone's job a whole lot harder.
But today, that war is officially over, and the peace treaty, the one piece of tech that finally lets both sides get exactly what they want, it's called the JSON-Relational Duality View, and it's a huge feature in Oracle 26i. The key thing to understand is, this isn't a compromise where nobody's happy. No, this is a genuine solution.
Now, to really appreciate just how revolutionary this is, we've got to look back at the battlefields. Let's remember all the old, failed attempts to solve this problem, because that's when you'll really see why this new approach is so different.
So first up was the blob era. Developers wanted to store their JSON, so what did we do? We gave them a CLOB, basically a giant, dumb text bucket. It was a total black box inside the database. We couldn't properly index it, we couldn't join on it, nothing. Then came the ORM nightmare. You had these tools that would automatically generate SQL, but it was just awful, so inefficient. DBAs like me had to spend all day tuning queries that a machine wrote badly. And finally, you had the split brain era, where companies just threw their hands up and bought two different databases, one for relational, one for documents. Well, now you had two sources of truth, which, let me tell you, was a complete nightmare for keeping things in sync. See, every single one of those so-called solutions just created new and, frankly, bigger problems. But Oracle 26 AI, it takes a completely different path. This isn't about compromise. It's an elegant, new way of looking at the data, and I like to call it the magic mirror. So what in the world is a JSON-Relational Duality View? Well, here's the long and short of it. It's a database object that lets an application see your data as a single JSON document, even though behind the scenes, that data is actually stored in multiple perfectly normalized relational tables. Here's the most important part. The data lives in its proper structured home, but for the developers, it gets to wear this flexible JSON costume.
And this is where the magic really happens, because this mirror works both ways. An app asks for a JSON document, right? The view instantly assembles it on the fly from all the real tables. But here's the kicker. The app can then change that JSON and send it back, and the database is smart enough to deconstruct that document and automatically, transactionally, update all the correct underlying tables. It's just seamless.
Now you're probably thinking, okay, something this powerful must be a nightmare to set up. You're picturing complex code, massive ETL pipelines, days of configuration, right? Well, that's the most amazing part. It's just a simple view.
I mean, just look at this. This is the code that builds the entire bridge between those two worlds. That's it. You create a JSON-Relational Duality View, you define the JSON structure you want the developers to see, and you map it to your tables. There are no separate sync processes, no complicated middleware. This one statement connects everything.
And here is the absolute secret sauce. See these words? With, insert, update, delete. That little phrase is the instruction that tells the database, hey, this view isn't just for looking. It's a fully operational two-way gate. It's the permission slip, so when a developer sends a new JSON document to this view, Oracle knows it's allowed to go and update the real tables.
And that brings us to the ultimate payoff. The developers, they get the flexible JSON documents they've wanted all along. And me, the DBA, I get to keep my perfectly normalized, super efficient, and totally safe relational tables. Nobody has to compromise. Everybody finally wins.
So let's wrap this up with one final thought. And this is coming from the perspective of someone who's been fighting in the trenches of this war for a very, very long time.
I used to say this in meetings all the time. Whenever a developer would argue that schemas were just slowing them down, this was my go-to line. And I meant it. Unstructured data is just a pile of stuff you can't trust, you can't query reliably. It's a trash can. That was the absolute core of our argument for years.
But with Duality Views, I don't have to have that argument anymore. This tech isn't about compromise. It's about true synthesis. The developers get their flexible documents so they can build things fast. But under the hood, I know the data's still strict, it's still organized, and it's still incredibly fast. This is the first time in my entire career we can truly have our cake and eat it too.
This kind of breakthrough, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other forever wars in our industry, those conflicts we all just assume are never going to be solved, are maybe just one clever idea away from a peace treaty. Join me next time for our third explainer, where we're going to talk about another revolution, the end of the dreaded Friday night import. See you in the history books.